So our learning objectives this week for combating cult mind control is simple. First of all, identify what is cult mind control. So basically, what's the difference between mind control and persuasion? Sometimes when I talk about it in classes, people say, yeah, but all of us belong to some kind of persuasive group or whatever. What's the difference? So we'll talk about that. And then there's a bite model. So somebody, the guy who wrote the book, the guy who wrote the book on cults explains how they affect your behavior, your information, your thoughts, and your emotions. So we're going to go through each of those and look at how cults basically get sane people to believe insane shit. And then, like I said, your workshop will be individual, where you'll look for an example of each BITE model in the documentary that you chose. Okay, so first of all, you're reading. I know it's long, don't be mad at me, but here's the story. It's very, it's popular nonfiction, so it's spread out. It's not super dense. And mostly I wanted you to read his story because that's the fascinating part to me. So it just reads like a fiction story. It should read fast. So the guy who wrote this book was in a cult, the Unification Church, the Moonies, they were called. And he was a smart guy. He was an ambitious guy. And he get caught up in this cult and went high level before getting out. And so he's devoted the rest of his life to understanding how he got caught up in it and how to help others. I read this book in college in a persuasion class. And for me, it was like one of the most powerful, it was very powerful. And I'll tell you why. First of all, college is a time that most cults target people. And we'll talk about that in a minute why. But I was in a super controlling relationship, actually. And by controlling, I mean abusive and very controlling and crazy. And I read this book and it talked about how cults brainwash people into staying. And I realized that this guy had done all of those techniques to me in our individual relationship. And this book actually was the beginning and the end and helped me see through what was happening and helped me get out of it. So I'm very passionate about teaching it. Also, I don't know if you guys have already had experiences with it, but I joined every cult that recruited me in college, but for a little while before I caught on. So Amway, right? That's multi-level marketing, but has so much more to it. Of course, I signed up for that and I was totally into it for a couple of months until they took me to this jubilee, I guess, where then everybody started praying together. And then they're like, don't go to college. That's just messing up your business. You should quit college and make money. And I was like, I don't think so. And then, of course, Scientology, they were like, free IQ test. And I'm like, free IQ test? Well, I'm really smart. I want a free IQ test because I want to know how smart I am so I can brag about it. And how smart I am is that they were not actually IQ tests. It was a way to get you through the door. And then you take this test that captures your personality. And next thing you know, like, you have a terrible personality and you're going to die if you don't start their program. Now, the way they did it, though, and we're going to talk about reason why I call it a cult and not a religion or a philosophy, is because they use deception. They split my boyfriend and I up into separate rooms, and they came in and they told me, and they said, look, your boyfriend really wants to do this, but he'll only do it if you do it. And he really needs it. And I'm like, oh God, well, if he really wants to do it, okay. And they had gone and told him the same thing. When we asked them about it the next week, they're like, yeah, but we needed to break through your sick mind to help you come to this place. And aren't you glad we did? It was meant to be, things like that. So read the readings, skim them if you like, but at least try to read a story. It's easy to dismiss cults as just crazy people do it, but that's not actually who they recruit. The reason why it's long also is a bit patchwork. It's not like a textbook where he lays everything out. Okay, so getting to, why is this here? I can't read it that way.